What's up guys, NMFH, video 1. I believe this is the hardest skill in hockey, so we're going to tackle it head on. This is the drag flick, part 1. Probably at least half of you already know how to hold the stick when you drag flick. That's all good. We're going to start from step absolute 1. So anyone that is learning from scratch. Now if I were to hold this hockey stick normally, just like this, knuckles facing the camera, I cannot drag flick because we are trying to tuck our left hand into our right elbow. Now in order to maximize that, I need to rotate my hand so my knuckles are now facing downwards. What that allows me to do is tuck my hand into my right elbow. Some players, they will even bring their thumb to the top of the stick like this, so they can allow themselves to get in a really good position to drag flick the ball. Now with your right hand, it's totally personal preference. You'll see guys like Alexander Hendricks or Gonzo Palliat flicking with their hand really high up the stick. That creates more power. But it's a lot harder to control where the ball goes. So if you're learning how to drag flick, quite simply, just experiment with your right hand. Is it easier for you with your right hand a little bit further down, or is it easier for you slightly further up the stick? The other thing that some players like to do is have their finger down the back of the stick. Again, this is absolute personal preference. A lot of drag flickers back in the day had their finger pointed down like this just to get that extra whip. Some players, they still flick like this. It's totally down to you and what feels more comfortable when you are learning to flick. Once we've sorted our grip that we feel comfortable with and we've figured out how to get into this nice position with our left hand tucked into our elbow, our left shoulder tucked down, then we can start talking about the footwork. Now there's a lot of different ways to move your feet through the drag flick. The most common one would be left, right behind left, big step. Probably second most common, the Gonzo special, left, right foot in front of your left, big step. And last but not least, there's a little skip hop. Kind of like that. Main point of these 3 types of footwork is that the ball ends up slightly behind you. Further away from your right foot the ball is, the less control you have, but the longer your drag is, so the more power you can generate. It's best when you're learning to simply experiment. Do you like right foot in front of left foot, right foot behind left foot, or a little skip? See what works best for you. Now before running up to the ball, everyone is different. Some people attack from more front on, some people more side on. I prefer to be a little bit more front on because then I feel like my weight and my power is going straight towards the ball rather than being side on and a little bit further away from the ball. That's just my personal preference. Now as to how many steps we take before we address the ball, it's totally down to you. Some players, they make heaps of steps. Some players, they deliberately go 1, 2 and go. Some players, they start with their left foot, right foot, left foot. The most important thing about your footwork is that your left foot lands next to or just in front of the ball. The reason for this is if my left foot lands behind the ball, then by the time I do my little cross step, I haven't got a big drag to work with. I want my left foot to land pretty much in line with the ball or just in front, as that will then create a good sized drag for a drag flip. Now once we've sorted our feet, we are looking to get ourselves in a position where our left shoulder is tucked and our stick is behind us. This is super awkward. Now the key point to this, especially when you're learning, is you don't want your stick to be open or closed. It needs to be facing directly forwards. If the ball gets too far behind me, the stick's going to be open, I'm going to start pushing the ball out, then I've got to find a way to push the ball back. Best drag flickers in the world might be able to do this. Chances are they're not watching this video, so we won't talk about that. So what we want to do is we want our stick facing the goal. Then once we've got our stick on the right line directly going forwards, we have to tuck our left shoulder. 90% of my weight right now is on my back foot. The whole drag flick is about weight transfer. We are transferring our weight from here forwards, and as that happens, I am rotating with my hips, with my core, and giving it absolutely everything through the ball. Try and get the hang of being in this super awkward position with your weight on your back leg. Once you've done that, practice transferring and pushing as hard as you can through your right leg onto your left leg, rotating at the hips and pushing through the ball. Now, as I'm doing that with my body, what we want to see is the ball rolling up the stick into this area here. And then as we explode through the ball will roll back down and fly off the stick. Now they teach drag flicks as slow, slow, fast. So as we go through our footwork, things are a little bit slower. As we load up in this phase, the ball comes up the stick a little bit slower. As soon as the ball starts going back down the stick, explode, give it everything, rotate. It's a fast, explosive movement through the ball. Now drag flicks is a super complicated skill, arguably the hardest skill in hockey. So don't be afraid to break it down. Work on your footwork. Work on just running up to the ball, working on your feet, getting in the right place. It's not easy, especially when there's a mistrap. Then really get used to that weight transfer. So if you have to, just start with the ball here and transfer your weight and work on rotating, pushing through your hips, getting that weight transfer forward onto your left foot. It's going to take you a few hours to practice. Hope you enjoy the tutorial. Please make sure you like, subscribe, share it to all your friends, and stay tuned for Drag Flick Part 2.